Hello and welcome to KZ Local Time with Dina Tiltaeva. In this program we meet people from different corners of the world who came to Kazakhstan for various reasons, but they all share one common thing, their love of this country. And I'm actually very excited today because we are going to meet a poet. His name is Rassel and he's lived in Kazakhstan for a very long time. And he has kindly invited us over to his house today, so let's go and talk to him. Hello, is this Rassel Ragsdale?
Yes, it is.
This is a TV channel. Hello.
Yeah, hello.
So we're here.
Okay, I'll press the button and come on up.
Hello, Rassel.
Hello.
How are you?
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. How are you today?
Good.
Rassel is more than a poet. He's an artist who puts his heart and soul into everything he tries to achieve. A chef in the past, now retired, he has more time to devote to arts. He writes poetry and gets it published in numerous countries. He's fairly well known both in Kazakhstan and abroad. One of his recently published collections of poetry is called Book of Aliases. He admits that his poems are not always rose-colored. Sincerity and being in touch with one's true self is the cornerstone of his creative endeavors.
I've gotten away from the postcard, greeting card stuff, and that was an important thing for me to get away from. That's pretty overly sweet. So my poetry is not particularly sweet necessarily. My poetry is about honest things. And yeah, I think you have to be honest. But you have to see honestly in order to talk honestly.
That's probably the reason why such prominent Kazakhstan singer as Jantik prefers to work with Rassel and uses his poetry as lyrics for the songs. The poetry has a feeling and atmosphere of the swinging 60s that is so close to the rock and roll style which the two friends like so much. The Invisible World is one of such songs which Jantik loves doing in his club performances.
Rassel is a poet because recently he released one very interesting book. It's a collection of his poems, and before that he told me that he wrote some poems in 60s. Lyrics of 60s, that's what I'm looking for, you know? Because in my art, in my direction of music, because I grew up on the music of Beatles, Rolling Stones, Animals, it's the music of 60s. Yeah. And Rassel is a representative of that generation. So that is why he knows how to write the right lyrics for the song, for the rock song, I would say.
Cooking and composing poetry are the two incarnations that complement each other pretty harmoniously in this person. As Rassel says, these activities become genuine pieces of art if they're truly heartfelt. Getting to know a different culture is impossible without learning the language, and that enriches you enormously, Rassel says.
One of the things that you can't do is start learning a language without picking up culture, because language and culture go together. There's an element of culture in every time you say Kaukalai. You know, there's an element of culture in every time you say Kagvashidala.
Rassel grew up in West Hollywood, the United States of America, and his classmates were kids who were either children of actors or aspiring actors, and that had a profound impact on him. He had a good singing voice and didn't shy away from public performances. His father was a minister of a church and was considered to be a bishop, and thus had enjoyed an enormously high status. As a child from a very well-known family, Rassel had a lot of public exposure. When he was a 16-year-old teenager, he was part of the Los Angeles City Choir. That led to an unforgettable experience when the choir was asked to perform in a Hollywood bowl. And a famous American composer, Meredith Willson, asked Rassel to sing the opening solo in that performance. Young Rassel was bubbling with excitement, and that first major performing experience broke the ice for his future career in acting and poetry.
And then I knelt down and I got ready to sing the first note, looked up, that was dark, and my eyes began to adjust, and there were 25,000 people out there in the audience. And I began to see some faces, and I remembered my training, you know, you got to just draw back from that and kind of look over and through everything. And so, gulped about 4 times, and then came out with this opening note.
Interestingly, Sherlock Holmes inspired Rassel to develop an interest in poetry. While on a trip with his parents around Europe, he was having the book about the detective along with him all the time. The book puzzled him.
I can remember thinking at one point, you know, why is it that Sherlock Holmes always knows what's going on and nobody else can figure it out? Why is that? Sherlock Holmes pays attention to detail. And detail is the thing that lets him understand what's going on. Nobody else pays attention to detail. They don't notice things, and they don't know what's going on. So maybe it'd be a good idea for me to pay attention to detail. And that's why I became a poet.
And so he took a course in creative writing at the University of Arizona. Rassel has the fondest memories of his school days because the students had numerous meetings with famous poets of that time. Rassel's other hobby was cooking, and he had worked comfortably as a chef for an American chain before an in-company shift made him take a fateful decision. Because of some changes where Rassel had worked as a chef in the United States of America, he either had to move up to a managerial position or to find another job as a chef, which he really wanted to continue doing, and it was a mere chance that 21 years ago he arrived in Kazakhstan. Once, as he was looking for a job, an interview was set up at short notice.
And I got an interview with some businessman from Tucson, and it said you had to travel. So, okay, got to travel, that's fine. And I went to the interview, and he said, in Kazakhstan. And I went, wow. This has come back to haunt me, you know. Really, I ended up going home. I got the globe out, and there it is, you know. And I'm looking at this thing on the globe, and it's about half of the world away from Tucson.
As an experienced specialist, Rassel was invited to Kazakhstan to help develop a local hotel business. So the initial 9-month contract turned into an indefinite period of stay.
I just never could leave after that. These people became my friends. The people in my yard are my neighbors. I watched them grow up from when they were they say that all of my friends are 9 years old, you know. But now some of those 9-year-olds are having 9-year-olds of their own.
Rassel's acting skills came in handy when he played a few cameo roles in Kazakh films and was on a panel of judges in the culinary show Vkusnyatina. Rassel's become so accustomed to Kazakhstan that when asked why he thinks that this is a place to be, he doesn't even have a clue what to say.
I can remember years and years ago standing outside looking up at these apartment buildings and the windows and the lights and the chandeliers and thinking, I wonder what it's like inside there now. Now I don't have to ask that question. Now it's harder for me to understand what it's like to look back up from the window, at the window, than it is to, now it's normal for me to look out the window and see my neighbors and see their children and their children's children. You know, I've been here so long, it's hard for me to understand how to bridge that gap. Because here for me is home. And if you say to somebody from England or France or Germany, come to Kazakhstan, you know, it's home. What's home, you know? I know what home is. Home is...
Like all creative people, Rassel likes visiting local museums. His favorite one is Kosteyev Museum. As he says, it's always got something that affects you at a very deep level and leaves lasting memories.
You know, art touches you. Art touches you. A painting will touch you from the middle of the room and say, come to me. You know, I have something for you. You can feel it. Some museums you go into and the artwork is beautiful, the displays are interesting, but nothing goes, come here, you know, and get you. And that's what I like about this museum.
The poem which he shares the most often is called Journey. The setting of his favorite museum seemed like a perfect place to ask Rassel to recite the poem, which he strongly associates with Kazakhstan.
This is the long of it, when time has gone away, and Odysseus lounges on the endless sand, on the endless beach, drinking fragrant tea in bowls, and wondering if he will ever stop eternity grown to sameness.
Rassel doesn't know what the future may bring him, but the inseparable ties with Kazakhstan are always out there. He's married to a local woman. The couple has been together for 17 years, and he is happy to see the growing up of his wife's granddaughter, who's become so dear to him. He feels at home in a number of places, including Paris, Abu Dhabi and Singapore, but Kazakhstan remains his base.
I'm not sure, you know, I'm not sure whether I'll live here forever. I may need to go. So I like to visit other places, and I may need to go and try and find another place. But not this year, not next year. I don't know when. You know, I don't know when my Odysseus is gonna, you know, get off his hunch and move on out. I have no idea. I couldn't tell you.
Rassel doesn't know how his journey will evolve, but he's full of creative plans and ideas, and the major part of those plans will be carried out in his second home of Kazakhstan. Without a doubt, one program is not enough to cover all aspects of our today's guest's life. Rassel is a very creative person. He's a chef, he does poetry, he likes writing, and I'm really looking forward to meeting this person again and to reading his new works. You've been watching KZ Local Time. Take care. Rassel, it's been a pleasure to be with you today. Thank you very much.